Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, we're going to make another tumbler using a full sheet of rub-on transfers from Southern Belle Glitter. We're starting out with a 24-ounce pump from the Still Magnolia. I do have this prepped with Artistry Mattify, so it doesn't look like there's tons of scratches on there, but the tumbler is a little bit dull since we did use the mattify on there, but it preps the surface super well and takes off all of that coating that is on top of stainless. So any media that we put on this tumbler, whether that be epoxy, glue, paint, or vinyl, is going to have a really nice grip to the surface. We are using the epoxy method to apply our glitter, and I have not base painted this because our glitter does have silver flakes in it, so there's no need. To use the epoxy method to apply your glitter, you want to apply about 1.5 milliliters on these smaller 24-ounce and 1 milliliter to 2 milliliters on the larger ones. Once I have it all spread out super thin, I dab my hand all around the tumbler so that it texturizes that epoxy and allows me to go straight into adding in the glitter without getting any streaks or having to let my tumbler sit and level out. We're using iced ruby from COLORFLEX, and I am just going to dump this all over my tumbler and make sure I get good even coverage. Once I have made sure that all areas are covered, I'm going to take this tumbler and roll it in a sheet of printer paper. You can also use parchment paper, and just pat that glitter down or rub it down so that we can minimize the amount of epoxy and layers and sanding that we have to do to get this tumbler smooth. I'm going to give this one coat of epoxy, allow that to dry, sand it lightly with 320 grit sandpaper. Make sure my rim and bottom is sanded as well. Give this another coat of epoxy so that we can have a smooth, glossy surface to apply our rub-on transfers to. Our rub-on transfers is from the Glamour Tribe Customs collection at Southern Belle Glitter. I love everything that is in the Glamour Tribe custom collection because they come with full sheets of all kinds of different elements and florals that you can just put everything on a tumbler and it coordinates very nicely. It all goes together and it looks beautiful. Now, if you saw me use the rub-on transfers before, you know that I usually do the hinge method, especially with the larger transfers. I don't know why I didn't do that on this tumbler. I highly recommend just trimming off a little piece of that backing as if you were going to apply vinyl. Line it up on your tumbler or project and then press down the exposed piece of transfer. Once you have it in position, take the wooden tool that comes with your transfers and begin rubbing at the spot that you pressed your transfer down, and work your way towards the end as you are pressing off the back. That will assure that you do not get any bumbles or anything like that underneath your transfer, just like applying vinyl, except these you cannot remove once they are stuck to your tumbler. Well, you can remove them, you just can't reuse them. Definitely a do as I say, not as I do situation. I think I was just excited to be using this sheet on this beautiful glitter and feeling pretty confident that I wouldn't mess up, obviously, and luckily I didn't. The only thing that we did not use on this sheet was this smaller cluster, and I did set that to the side to use on a smaller tumbler later on. And I just trimmed out around all of the other transfers and placed them in random spots one by one. Now, once I have all of these applied, I did leave a little bit of a gap there for our decal, but once I have these applied, I have been suggesting doing a very light coat of a matte clear sealer before you go in with your epoxy. However, since it has been cold here in North Carolina, if I go outside and it's super cold and I put a layer of spray paint over top of these, it tends to cause them to crack. I'm assuming because I go from the cold to inside, the paint just dries a little bit differently. So what I started doing is allowing my fast set epoxy to sit just a minute. I mean, just enough to start thickening up a little bit. And since this is a thick viscosity and it started to set up just a tiny bit, I can apply that to my transfers and the epoxy will not repel. And honestly, since I started doing that, I will never spray paint or spray seal my transfers again. I'll just always allow my epoxy to set up just a tiny bit so it's a little bit thicker and it does not repel from my transfers. For this layer of epoxy, I did add in Moonlight from PDB Creative Studio. You do want to make sure that you put a layer of epoxy in between your transfers and your decal. So if you're applying a decal on there, apply your layer of epoxy and then your decal, just in case you do have to reposition it. And the transfer tape can also remove your transfers. And again, this is from the Glamour Tribe full collection from Southern Belle Glitter. If you do go check it out, you will see that the full bundle is a little bit pricey, but it does come with 26 full sheets. You can get at least 2 tumblers out of each sheet. Break that down, adding in my discount, and it's like $2 per tumbler, and you can't beat that, especially having a full collection of lots of different color choices to show your customers or start your own ready-to-ship collection for spring. That is all I have for today, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. We will see you next time.